What's going on, everybody? This is Nick Costco with On3 Sports, getting ahead of our Super Bowl 59 preview between the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. With me today is former NFL running back Merril Hoge. Merril, you've been doing this for a long time, man. I always appreciate your analysis, but got to get us ready for the big game coming up in about a week plus. Tell us a little bit why you're here today.
Yeah, well, thank you, Nick. Well, first of all, if you're going to have and host a party at your house, you got to start with a good visual, right? So the LG OLED EVO G4 Super Bowl in your living room, 8.3 million self-lit pixels, luminous color, powered by Brightness Boost Max technology, available in a 55-inch. That's a 65-inch. Look at that bad boy. And a 97-inch. The Dolby Atmos sound, so great Super Bowl experience from a visual perspective. We got to eat, snack options. That's big for the big game. Farm Rich, #1 best-selling mozzarella stick, jalapeno peppers, spinach, artichoke dip, and so much more. Football fans, visit farmrich.com to score deals on all kinds of frozen snacks. And here's the deal. If either team has a pick six, Farm Rich fans will have a chance to win their own pick six box right here. 6 free product coupons and limited edition merchandise. Visit @FarmRichSnacks for details. And you got to have something to drink. The Pinter is innovative and can brew and draft machine. It's the most incredible thing. It's the first in the world to craft 12 pints of freshly made beer or cider at your home in 7 days. Mix ingredients right here with water, leave to brew, refrigerate, and enjoy. Only $49 at pinter.com/game. And you get 2 free Pinter packs, a free tasting glass, and free shipping if you subscribe today. So make sure you order today. And the easy-to-use Cricket Joy Extra, it made this shirt, so that tells you what it can do, but 50-plus materials, vinyl, cardstock, iron-ons, you name it. It's only 12 inches, so it really doesn't take up a lot of space, easy to move and use. Cricket Joy Extra prepares you for the game, customizing logos, all kinds of things, names, decals, koozies, sprinter banners. And you do all that, you become the MVP of the Super Bowl. Everybody will have an absolute blast. You can pick one or all 4 to host a party on the big day.
Speaking of MVPs of the Super Bowl, there's quite a lot of quality players in this game. Again, a rematch of 2 years ago in Super Bowl 57. So Eagles and Chiefs running it back. We'll start on the Philadelphia side of things. Merril, they boat raced the Washington Commanders 55-23 in the championship game just this past weekend. It seems like the offense runs through Saquon Barkley. People have been kind of going down a little bit on Jalen Hurts. Elevated his game once again on Sunday. What were some of your biggest takeaways between the Eagles and the Commanders as they get back to the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years?
Well, if you look at that game, there's 2 things the Eagles did that the Commanders did not do, that you have to do to win consistently. It plays a role in this game. You look at each and every Sunday, 2 things matter to win consistently. One is turnovers. Well, Philadelphia dominated that aspect. The other one is controlling the tempo of the game. Philadelphia dominated that, and that's usually through running the football. So when they do those 2 things, I think it'd be hard for any team to beat them. Even the Kansas City Chiefs, if that happens to materialize. If you think about the first matchup 2 years ago, that turnover that Philly had ultimately became the difference in that game. So if it's a clean game, it's going to come down to that trench play, and then you would give a slight advantage to Philadelphia because of their running game.
When you look at the flip side of this matchup with the Kansas City Chiefs, again, they just keep winning. People want to say, well, it's the refs, it's the Chiefs, it's the home field advantage. Somehow they just keep winning, regardless of the scenario. They just do not lose. Somehow they're going for the three-peat. Would be historic, first team to ever do it. What puts this team over the edge? Is it simply just the big game experience? We've seen them be in 7 straight championship games. Andy Reid's obviously done a fantastic job since coming from Philadelphia to Kansas City over the last decade. But they're going for the three-peat. Is it simply just big game experience and the fact that they have the best quarterback on the planet?
No. If it was that, I don't think it's not that easy. First of all, as a team, teams win championships. Patrick Mahomes has not won a championship by himself. If you wanted to argue, Chris Jones has made all the key plays to give Patrick Mahomes a chance to make big plays. So teams win championships, first and foremost. Here's what they do well as a team. They don't make a lot of mistakes across the board. Their offense and defensive play call, Andy Reid, some of the best in the history of the game. If you look at how they call games and how they call plays, which is oftentimes overlooked, some of the best in football history. I go back to they don't make mistakes. They don't turn the ball over. They don't beat themselves. They're as good a team as there is or there has been. And I think Andy Reid does as good a job of galvanizing a team and bringing them together for a sole purpose. And that sole purpose is, you mentioned it earlier, they got a chance to do something nobody else has done, but has had a chance to do. And that is win 3 in a row. You know, when you're a dynasty, you're a part of teams like the Steelers, Denver, Patriots, things like that. But to do something nobody's ever done, that to me is what has been their driving force, and does give them a slight edge, because when you're playing with an extreme purpose and a purpose like that, not just to win the Super Bowl, but to do something nobody's ever done, that just fine-tunes a player and his passion and the focus of a team. And I think that's why they are so good with their details and stuff. That's why they make very few mistakes. So you're going to have to play almost a flawless game if you're Philly in order to win this one.
And just to piggyback off that, because they have the ability to do something that's never been done, which is three-peat in the Super Bowl era. I know people go back to the Packers, you know, the year right before the merger, but when you talk about a three-peat, would this be the greatest run by a single franchise in NFL history, just simply because they've won 3 Super Bowls in a row? Should that happen next week?
Oh, I would think so. With, you know, since the Super Bowl era, absolutely. There is no question, because there's been several teams that have, you know, San Francisco had a chance, I mean, Pittsburgh, New England, you know, those are the 3 I could think of. Maybe there's more in the Super Bowl era, and nobody's ever been able to pull it off. So to do it, there's no doubt they put themselves in an elite category.
I'll leave you here with 2 more, Merril. Again, appreciate your time this morning previewing the Super Bowl. When you go back over to Philadelphia, of course, Jalen Hurts, you know, I mentioned the winning aspect of things. It seems like he just wins. The combination of him and Nick Sirianni has, I guess, maybe erased a lot of doubters after last season's collapse, but there's no question that the missing link to this year's team compared to last year's and perhaps 2022 is Saquon Barkley. Over 2,000 rushing yards in the regular season. He's been dominant in the playoffs so far. When you put him in perspective of how valuable he is, I know the MVP conversation was around Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson and perhaps even Mahomes to an extent. Do you think Barkley would actually have a better case to be this year's MVP over guys like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen?
Well, based on how he's played, especially in these games in the playoffs matter. These are more significant, you know, than the regular season, because how can you elevate your play? He has done that. You know, and to Philadelphia's credit, they got to the Super Bowl the last time against the Chiefs because they had a real dominant running game, and their quarterback was a great complement to that. You know, they lost sight of that. You know, they got rid of their running game. They focused more on their quarterback, and then they realized their quarterback's a great complement. You know, you can't carry the entire team, and that's okay. There's a lot of quarterbacks that can't, but he's a great complement. So credit them for going to get the best runner in football and bringing him in and going back to that aspect. And that's what's helped them win games. They control the game. They control the tempo. And when you do that, it just increases your chances to win when you control the tempo of the game. It is true in our league. It'll always be true in our league. And that's what gives them a great chance to win this one, as long as they don't have a turnover.
So we'll actually skip ahead now to next Sunday, and I can't believe we're still waiting, you know, about 10 days now for the Super Bowl. So down in New Orleans, Eagles, Chiefs, rematch 2 years ago. Chiefs go for the three-peat. Eagles go for their second Super Bowl in franchise history and looking to avenge the loss from 2 years ago. Ultimately, how do you see this one playing out? Is it Hurts and Barkley hosting the Lombardi Trophy, or do Reed and Mahomes and Kelsey and that entire crew make history and get the three-peat?
Well, let's say it's a clean game. And when I say a clean game, there's no turnovers. Nobody can predict that. Just say it's a clean game. I do give an advantage to the Eagles based on these 2 things. I think their trench play is better on both sides, defensively and offensively line. I think it's better. And then Saquon Barkley and their overall running game is better. And that is a critical component in winning championships and winning consistently. So, and the turnover thing does matter. That's a big deal. That might be the difference in this game. If it does not have a turnover, or neither one of these teams have a turnover, then it could come down to who has the ball last. And I go back to that advantage Philly does have with their ground game and the ability to control the tempo of the game.
Well, I do hope, you know, as an Eagle fan, as somebody who grew up an Eagle fan, I hope you are correct. Okay. So, but overall, it should be a good game. Merril Hoge with me on On3 Sports. Merril, I appreciate your time, man. Enjoy the game coming up next weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Nick.